My name is Natalie Nixon. I'm a creativity strategist. I'm the president of Figure Eight Thinking, and I want to share bits and parts of a game I've developed called the WondeRigor Discovery Deck. It's a bit more reflective. So if you can grab a piece of paper and a pen or a Sharpie or a Post-it, whatever, nearby, that would be awesome. So what I'd like to do is to share some overarching concepts about how I'm thinking about creativity, wonder, and rigor. And then I have a few question prompts. And at different points, I'd like to have some of you volunteer to share some of what's emerged for you based on the question prompts. Could we first, and I'm sorry, I no longer see the green floor with all of the tables. So guide me as to how I should get there. I'd love it if those of you who are participating, if you make sure you can get to a virtual table where there are 3 people per table, that would be awesome.
So I'm here to help you. I'm here to help you. So we can. Once we go to those tables, you won't be on this large screen, so everyone can see you now. So if you want to, you can give them the instructions and then they can go to the table.
So why don't I do this? Because from here I can share my screen. So let me do that first and share out some content, and then I'll share some of the prompts. Perfect. Okay. All right, so here we go. I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to start by sharing a bit of content. I don't know why this is. Okay. Bear with me, guys. This is my first time using this particular platform. All right, so let me go to present. I think that's what I want. All right, so I think about creativity as toggling between wonder and rigor to solve problems. And I could stop there, but sometimes I go on to say it's also about creating novel value. But one of the reasons I wrote a book called The Creativity Leap was to basically kind of democratize the way we think about creativity, because I don't know about you guys, but I often find that we've kind of ghettoized and siloed creativity in the arts, which isn't fair to artists. And I don't think it's very beneficial to society at large. So that was a big push for the reason why I wrote the book. Before I even wrote the book, I created this card game called the WondeRigor Discovery Deck to help people toggle between wonder and rigor to solve problems. So if you've grabbed that piece of paper and a pen that I asked you about, I'm going to give you 30 seconds in silence, and would you just jot down a challenge that you've been tinkering with over the past week or several months? It could be work-related. It could be not work-related. It could be something related to your household. It doesn't matter, but just jot down a challenge. I'm going to shut up for 30 seconds to give you some time to think about that. Okay, like 15 more seconds. Awesome. Okay, so you've got in your mind a particular challenge, problem, opportunity that you have been tinkering with. I think about wonder, just to clarify, is our ability to be super curious, to dream and daydream, to pretend, which we saw definitely in that last session, to be super hyper imaginative and to embrace what is emergent. And what's really appealing to me is that some intellectual heavy hitters historically have given a lot of credence to wonder. So Socrates said that wisdom begins in wonder. And the Jewish theologian and civil rights activist Abraham Heschel wrote that it's wonder, not doubt, which is the root of knowledge. So wonder is super, super important in our development, our evolution, and it's one of the foundational capabilities of creativity. So then rigor is about practice and discipline and time on task and showing up over and over and over again. And when I thought about how to frame creativity in a way that would be accessible to a lot of people, it was important to me that we also recognize that creativity is really hard work. I think sometimes we mystify creativity and we kind of think about it as, oh, there are the creative types over there, which gives some of us a pass, which is going to be increasingly problematic in our incredibly complex world. It takes a lot of work. It's hard work. Artists tend to be exceptionally excellent at wrestling with the ambiguity of the creative process. But someone like Leonardo da Vinci said that every obstacle is destroyed through rigor. So creativity requires both wonder and rigor to solve problems. But I thought it wouldn't be enough for me to end there. Thinking about creativity is just toggling between wonder and rigor. I also wanted to emphasize and share 3 capabilities that we can use to exercise this creativity, to do the toggling between wonder and rigor. And those 3 capabilities are what I call the 3 I's. And that's inquiry, improvisation, and intuition. An inquiry is curiosity, is asking a new, better, different question. Improvisation is not only about, being an exceptional comedic improv artist or jazz musician, but improvisation, we all have probably hacked our way through our day already, supporting our spouse, our partner, our children, clients, etc. Improvisation is about being adaptive. It's about the build. It's about saying yes and, right? And intuition is, to me, pattern recognition. It's following that nudge. And intuition is like a muscle or sonar. And the more we use it and listen to it, the stronger it gets. The more we ignore it, the flabbier and dimmer it gets. So these 3 I's are absolutely essential. So I want to do a quick creativity hack. You see before you a picture of some paper cups. And I am going to stop sharing my screen after I explain the instructions. Don't start yet. You're only going to get 60 seconds to do this. But this is just to kind of loosen our muscles. What I'm going to ask you to do is to, first of all, inhabit your 7-year-old self. The self that, picked boogers out of your nose without realizing people were looking. The self that could make mud pies for days. The self that knew no limits about what was the right way to approach things, the wrong way to approach things. And I would like you to generate a list of all the ways we could use a paper cup. And you can think about paper cups at any quantity, any size, any scale. The only thing I prohibit in your list is that you can't say a statue of a donkey, a sculpture of a donkey, a sculpture of a cat, a sculpture of an elephant, right? That's basically a sculpture of an animal. It's kind of the same idea, right? But I want you to be bombastic and audacious and a little goofy with your ideas. So I'm going to stop sharing momentarily. I'm going to hopefully go into the green space. I don't know. So I can see the tables and so I'm going to give you 60 seconds. Am I doing this correctly, Shannon?
You're doing great. You're doing great. I'm here. So if they have 60 seconds, you may want them to put it in the chat. That way you can see, you can see everyone's thing. Or we can go back to the green tables. It'll just take a second.
Okay, let's just I'm going to time you for 60 seconds, and I'd like you to just generate a list of all the ways that you can possibly think to use a paper cup, a zillion paper cups, any size scale. Are there any clarifying questions? Is there a chat where I can answer any questions? Are there clarifying questions? Looks like we're all good. All right. So your stretch goal is see if you get okay, good. Awesome. Thanks, Chris. See if you can get at least 12 ideas down. Okay. So ready, begin. And you're just writing this down. Oh, okay. Well, we're also typing. That's fine. Go for it. Just type. Keep going. Nice. Love it. Binoculars, telephone. Keep going. Ooh, spider trap, toilet. Love it. You have about 20 seconds left. Keep going. Shoes. Ooh. Loudspeaker, thimbles. Nice. Awesome. 5 seconds. Eyepods. Nice. Thanks. You guys are so good at this. Okay, time's up. Awesome. So usually when I do this exercise, I ask people to count, how many ideas they generated, if they got the stretch goal. It looks like you guys usually got very close to the stretch goal of about 12 ideas. What I love about some of the ideas in the chat that you shared, a hunchback. What I love about some of the ideas that you shared, where you're thinking about the paper cup at different size, scale down to be really small, really humongous. I forgot to say, I beg your pardon, I forgot to say you could imagine you can use scissors to shake the paper cups up. So mea culpa, I forgot to say that. But here's the great thing about this sort of improvisational, adaptive, emergent thinking. We are exercising the neural synapses in our brain in a way that is absolutely essential for if you don't think you're improvising on a daily basis. It's absolutely essential for that the I word of innovation, to be able to innovate. The great news is that we can get better at this. For example, there's a friend of mine, Baldur Onaheim, who is a Norwegian neuroscientist. He studies the neuroscience of creativity, and he has a great TEDx talk where he talks about while you're brushing your teeth at night, you can think of two totally different objects, a banana and an airplane. And as you're brushing your teeth, think about a mishmash, a mashup of all the attributes of those two objects, right? That's how we can get better at it. So well done. Thank you for priming your brain. I'm going to go back to some of my slides. I have a few more to share with you, and then we're going to get to some of what I've been developing with the WondeRigor game. So thanks for going through this first creativity hack. So I'm a strategist. I'm a creativity strategist, and like any good strategist worth her salt, I developed a 2x2. And if you want, please, you can take a screenshot of this. You can doodle this. Please doodle it. It's on my website. And basically, I was looking at extreme limits of wonder, extreme limits of rigor. And these are 4 domains, 4 ways we can think about working through challenges. Remember, I asked you to think about a challenge that you've been tinkering with. It could be work related, it could be household related, personally related, right? And sometimes we can apply a ton of wonder to the challenge. Sometimes the challenge is more rigor. But what's really important to remember is that we should transition through these 4 domains. I think about these 4 domains as lenses, trying a different pair of eyeglasses in order to see the challenge somewhat differently. So I'm going to actually go through each of these quadrants. I'm going to start in the lower right one where we're using a ton of rigor and certainty. I call that where we need to specialize. And this is when you need to do a deep dive on the work. You need to refine details. You don't want to take on a lot of risk. And you really are concerned with the minutiae. You might even need to bring in some experts and specialists to help you figure out what to do next. That's when you need to specialize. Moving around, I'm going clockwise, lower left quadrant. When you need to hack, that's when you need to rely on your current knowledge to try new methods that work super, super fast. When we hack our way through a challenge, we are okay and really good at making sure that we are not letting perfection be the enemy of good, right? That's when we're hacking our way to something. That's such an important capability and skill set to have when you just need to kind of duct tape your way through things. Oops, sorry. Provoke is in the upper left corner, and that's when there's a ton of rigor and a ton of freedom that we're applying to a challenge. That's when you need to think super expansively. You want to blow the roof off the mother. You want to blow up the status quo, and that's okay to have extreme amounts of wonder. And then the fourth domain or pair of glasses that you might try on to look at this challenge is when you are ready to be super inventive. You spent time in the trenches delving into rigor, but you've also spent time in the clouds, right? Being super dreamy. So this is the WondeRigor Matrix. The card game that I created takes you through several different prompts. And what I wanted to do today, I'll just do my best to keep track of the time. We might not be able to get through all the question prompts, but I just wanted you to start getting a sense. The card game goes through 3 different phases. The first phase that we'll go through is mindset, just kind of priming your mindset. You kind of just did that with the paper cup game, idea generation game we just did. You then go through a mode. You figure out which mode you're currently working on the problem through, and then with the mode you want to work on the problem through in the future state. And the third phase of the game is what's the catalyst that you need to put into action. So we're really going to delve into mindset and mode today. If you're curious after, please feel free to stay in touch with me. Definitely check out buying the card game for you and your team. So here's Shannon, where I wanted to first give these question prompts and let each person quietly to yourself. I'm just going to give you 30 seconds. Just jot down some bullet point answers to this, and then you're going to get like 5 minutes at your virtual table to share. So I'm going to give you 2 mindset question prompts. And here's so the first mindset question prompt is about prompting wonder. The word audacious means to be extremely bold or original, highly inventive. Sometimes we tackle a new project with naivete, not knowing the challenges that lie ahead. Share 3 moments when you were naively audacious and what you admire about the risks you took. In the interest of time that we have today, share 1 or 2 moments when you were naively audacious. For example, many, many years ago in my 20s, I lived in New York City, and I started a hat design business called Matt's Hats, which was amazing. It was awesome. But it was also really hard. I was naively audacious. And had I known how hard it was going to be, I probably would not have done it. But there's a lot that I learned from that. So that's an example. So that's the first question you're going to answer before we go back. So hang on for a second. So you got that one right. A few moments of your naively audacious. And the second mindset question is about rigor. The great bebop jazz saxophonist Charlie Parker said, you've got to learn your instrument, then you practice, practice, practice. And then when you finally get up there in the bandstand, forget all that and just wail. So where have you found value in repetition, practice, and application? So those are the 2 question prompts. An example when you were naively audacious, you're going to share at your table, and then a time when you have found value in repetition, practice, and application. Okay, so before I stop sharing, I'm just going to give you 30 seconds to jot down bullet points for each of those questions, starting now. $14 seconds. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to go back and let's go out to the tables now. And I'd love for you all to share your example of being super audacious with something naively audacious, and then a time when you have found value in repetition and rigor. I'd like you to share that at the table. So Shannon, could you help me to get everyone at tables? That we begin to embody the rigor, and rigor is painful to engage in, but there's some sort of what I call sentient intelligence. There's a feeling intelligence that begins to evolve and develop, so that we're able to begin again and begin again and develop that muscle. So I love the examples that you're sharing. So I'm going to share my screen one more time. I have a final exercise for you to, first quietly think about to yourself, and then share, and I'll join your table, and would love to hear how you're thinking about this. So let me share my screen one more time. And you are welcome to take a screenshot of this. So if you wouldn't mind, doodle this 2x2. And again, it's wonder on the y-axis going vertically and rigor on the x-axis. And these 4 domains or lenses are being super inventive when there's a lot of wonder and rigor, when you're specializing, when there's tons of rigor, not so much wonder, when you hack, lower left, and then when you provoke, right? Keep in mind, these are not archetypes. I was really intentional about making sure I'm not trying to create like another Myers-Briggs, but it's much more so that, as you build a team, you may need to toggle between these different capabilities, and people on your team to toggle between them, and as you're doing solo work. So here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to reflect on which of these domains do you find yourself most comfortable working in? And why do you think that is? And you might just share a really short anecdote. For example, maybe you're super comfortable, your go-to way of working through things. And think of that challenge at hand that I asked you to think about at the top of our time together. You go to the details and sorting it out and project managing, and that's your jam, and that's what you feel really comfortable with, right? But what's the domain where you find yourself particularly uncomfortable working in? Why do you think that is? Give an example of a situation, recount a short anecdote. And then that current challenge that you identified about 20 minutes ago, which of these domains reflects the way you are currently working your way through? Are you currently hacking your way through? Are you being super inventive at this stage? Are you being provocative? And then which domain do you realize you're going to have to start migrating to in this canvas, in this map? Okay, so there's 4 things I want you to do. Where do you self-identify as being the most comfortable in which of these domains? Number 2. And which of these domains are you the least comfortable? Number 3. Go back to that challenge you identified. Which domain are you currently, what's the way you're currently working through that challenge, would you say? And then in the future state, how do you want to be working through it, right? So I'll share, for example, for myself, I live in this space of being provocative and provoking and wonder. Love it. What's more challenging for me is getting into the weeds, the details. I can do it, but it's not, it's not my natural domain and jam. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. I'd like you to, actually, let me give you 20 seconds. I'll be quiet. I'm going to shut up for 20 seconds, let you just jot down your notes. Another 5 seconds. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. All right, so we're going to go back to the table and let's share. Let's go back to the table and I'll join you guys. Domains are, again, it's being able to try on a different pair of glasses. These are lenses to help us see a problem more clearly in terms of our, no pun intended, our creative approach, in terms of what are the dimensions of creativity we can apply. Because again, creativity requires rigor just as much as it requires wonder. And so I love that that you all got there very quickly, that it's very situational. I also love that as a group, you are very diverse and where you feel more comfortable and where you don't feel so comfortable. We have like 6 minutes left. So what I want to do is I want to leave you with a thought of a call to action, which would end the game in the WondeRigor Discovery Deck, which is sold on Amazon. Should you be interested in checking it out and sharing with your teams, the catalyst cards are really about this principle that goals are dreams with deadlines. Goals are dreams with deadlines. So we need to identify the goal, the dream, and then we need to back it out from there and figure out what needs to be in place a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, etc. Right? One of the ways I like to think about that, and this is what I'm going to leave you with, and then if there's time for a couple of questions, I'd love to engage in a bit of dialogue. So this is an example, one of the catalyst cards, excuse me. Right. So I talk about wonder mentors and rigor mentors. It's important to have each. Wonder and rigor mentors can be living or dead. They can be people who you've never even met, but you admire the way they approach wonder in their life or approach rigor. So this card says, so identify a wonder mentor. What makes them good at wonder? Write this mentor a thank you note about what you've learned from them when it comes to wonder. Post it within the next 3 days. If it's someone you don't actually know, but just admire from afar, still write the note. Find the address via Google and mail it. If it's a person who's deceased, journal about it, but you get the idea, right? So that's just a call to action that I love for you to do. And you can do this with a rigor mentor. And I'd love to have you guys stay in touch with me. I have something called the WondeRigor tip sheet. This particular tip sheet has 16 tips and ways to catalyze and amplify wonder and rigor in your life and work. And it's this link, it's bit.ly/WR tip sheet. And that's my email. So stay in touch. And we have a little bit of time to have a dialogue, I hope, or some question. Can we do that through this? Or do we have to go back into the room, Shannon? Can we do it right here? Or no?
If there are some people that want to come up and share with you so that other people can watch you interact, that would be wonderful. And then, of course, there will be some time at the end for you to interact with people.
Yeah, well, we only have a few minutes left. So who is there anyone, you can like raise your virtual hand, I think, and Shannon will bring you up if you have a question. I'd love to get to a bit more dialogue. If you want to raise your hand. Or if you have a comment, a reflection, was this useful? How could you see using something like this in your personal life and your work? A question for me about the development of it. So Shannon, could you remind people how do they raise their virtual hand so you can see and bring them up? Oh, Paulo has his hand raised. We could bring Paulo up.
Yes, and here.
Hi.
Hi. So following my provoke, just your opinion about the relationship between creativity and innovation.
Good question. So I think about an innovation is an invention converted into value. That's what an innovation is. It's an invention converted into value. And that value can be social value, financial value, cultural value. And it's an innovation is an invention converted into value at scale. So for example, this past summer, I was at the post office. I'm standing in front of the